Imagine you failed the most important test of your life. Not a school test, the one everything depended on. Now imagine someone else, thousands of years later, walked in, sat down, and took the exact same test. Same questions, same pressure, same trap, and passed. That's the story the whole Bible is building toward, and many people completely miss it. In the beginning, according to the Bible, the world is good. Not just pretty, not just okay, good. The way everything feels when it's exactly the way it should be. Humans living in full relationship with God. No shame, no fear, no distance. And then a snake shows up. No army, no weapons, just a question. Are you sure God is telling you the truth? What if you're better off on your own? One question. That's all it took. Adam and Eve decided they didn't need God at the center of their lives anymore. And at the moment of that decision, everything broke. Their relationship with God, with each other, with themselves, with the world around them. 4 things shattered all at once. But here's what most people don't know. Right in the middle of that wreckage, before Adam and Eve took a single step out of the garden, God made a promise. He looked at the snake and said, "One of their descendants will crush you." One sentence. Think about that. The world just fell apart, and instead of walking away, God points at the ruins and says, "Someone is coming to fix this." Someone from the human family. Someone who will take the same test Adam took and pass it. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because for the next several thousand years, people kept trying and failing. Not bad people, good people, brave people, believing people. People who had real moments of real greatness. But not one of them could do what Adam couldn't do. Let's look at some of them. We'll start with Noah. He stood alone against the snake for many years, and with him, God hits the reset button. A flood, a family, a fresh start, a rainbow. And then Noah gets drunk, abandons morality, and the whole mess starts again. Not this one. Abraham. God shows up out of nowhere and makes a deal. I'm going to fix everything, and I'm going to do it through your family. The promise is getting more specific. Something is building. But Abraham lies and doubts. His kids lie. His grandkids cheat each other. Not this one. Moses. Okay, now it really feels like something. Plagues, a parted sea, the finger of God writing on stone. If you had to pick one moment in the whole Old Testament and say, this is the guy, maybe it's Moses. Then he loses his temper, gets banned from the promised land, and while he's up the mountain meeting God, the people down below build a golden cow to worship. A cow. They really couldn't wait. Not this one. David. A shepherd kid who kills a giant, becomes king, unites a broken nation. The Bible says he was very close to the heart of God. And David is the one who makes you think, finally. Then he abuses his power, arranges a murder, and his family falls apart in ways that are almost too painful to read. Not this one either. You start to feel it by now. The pattern, every time, every single time. These men carry something real, something true, but every one of them eventually proves the same thing. No ordinary human can fix what Adam broke. Not on their own. The last prophets write this from inside the ruins of a destroyed nation, from exile, from captivity, and somehow, impossibly, they still believe the promise. They write about someone who is coming, someone unlike any of the others. A child will be born, a son will be given. He will be called Wonderful, Mighty God, Prince of Peace. And then they go silent. 400 years of silence. No prophets, no visions, no new words from God. 400 years is longer than the USA has been a country, longer than most empires last. And a whole people holding a promise had to keep believing through 400 years of absolutely nothing. You wonder how they did it. You wonder if they did. We're almost there. Because what happens next, after all of that waiting, is the moment the whole story was built for. If you want more of this kind of deep dive into big questions, subscribe. We take our time here, and we don't skip the important parts. And then, after 400 years of silence, angels. Not a whisper, not a dream. Songs exploding out of an open sky over a field in the middle of the night. He is here. He is born today. A baby. Not in a palace, in a barn. Not in a powerful city, in a tiny town most people ignored. This is the promise, in skin, in a feeding trough. His name is Jesus. And here is what makes him completely different from Noah, Abraham, Moses, and David. Every one of these men stepped forward and then fell back. Jesus steps forward and then goes looking for the snake. Right at the start of his public life, before he heals anyone, before he teaches anything, Jesus walks into the desert. 40 days, no food, completely alone. And the snake shows up. Same move it always makes. Same question it has been asking since the garden. Are you sure God is on your side? Wouldn't it be better to do this yourself? 3 times. 3 different questions. 3 different angles on the same old trap. This is the rematch. Adam versus the snake, round 2. Except this time it's Jesus. And you need to understand, he is not doing this with some kind of special power that makes it easy. He is exhausted, starving, alone, fully human, the way any of us would face it. He doesn't move. 3 times the snake speaks. 3 times Jesus says no. And then for the first time in the entire history of the world, the snake leaves without winning. Beaten, not by an army, not by a miracle from the sky, by one person who said no when Adam said yes. The final Adam had passed the test, and the story wasn't even close to finished. The climax doesn't happen on a battlefield. No swords, no armies. It happens on a cross outside Jerusalem on a regular Friday afternoon, and it looks completely like the worst possible ending. The champion is dead. Story over. But the people who were there, who wrote it all down after, said something that changes everything. They said the cross wasn't a defeat. It was the point. The place where Jesus took on everything Adam's failure had broken. Every wrong thing, every bit of shame and separation and damage from every person who had ever lived. He absorbed it all and died under it, so we wouldn't have to carry it anymore. And then, 3 days later, he walked out of the grave. Not a ghost. His friends touched him. He ate breakfast with them. He was there. Death itself, the last and worst thing the fall had brought into the world, was finished. The final Adam had not just passed the test, he had undone the damage from the first time it was failed. Go back to that first sentence. One of their descendants will crush the snake. Spoken into the ruins, into the silence after everything broke. It sounded like a small thing. It was the whole story. Noah, Abraham, Moses, David, they weren't just failing. They were proving something important, that no ordinary human could fix what Adam broke. It had to be someone different, someone who could take the same test and answer differently. The final Adam. There's an old idea that goes like this. Fairy tales don't tell us that dragons exist. We already know that. They tell us something better. Dragons can be beaten. The dragon was beaten by the one the whole story was looking for.